Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. Go ahead and leave us a like because we are taking a look at something that I have been waiting for a very long time, and I have very much been looking forward to it. This is Harvinger Studios' Savage Crucible Wave 2, the Barbarian Wave. I didn't do anything for Wave 1 because, well, I didn't get anything for Wave 1 because Wave 1 was Lizardmen, and Lizardmen never really, like, lizard creatures, lizard figures never really did much for me. Don't get me wrong, they looked fantastic, they really did, but it just wasn't my thing. These, however, these barbarian figures, and this one especially is very light on the on the whole barbarian thing, but this guy right here, I'm definitely excited to take a look at this. What we have today is Savage Crucible, Hashorn the Disinherited, and the Frazetta Warrior with Ball and Chain. Now, this is not a Icon Collectibles. This was not done with Frazetta Girls. This was licensed from Frazetta Junior Enterprises, which I believe is a completely different creature from Frazetta Girls. I don't know the particulars, but this came out, I think, this was licensed, I think, even before the first Frazetta figure, the first Icon Collectibles figure came out. This is a completely original character, and just look at him in there. He looks fantastic. The armor, the detail to the armor, the coloring of the armor. I can't wait to get this guy out of the packaging and take a look at him. I love the black skin tones, or maybe that's just supposed to be like an Under Armour. I don't know. Oh, no, it's definitely skin because I just realized he has sandaled feet. So that is going to be very cool. We have a bit of a write-up right here on him. I am not going to read all of that. If you can make it out, go ahead, pause and read. But that is the original figure, the original character for the Savage Crucible. We also have this accessory pack that we'll be taking a look at that has different heads, new weapons, shield. There's some hand options back there. Most of this is for Hashorn over here, Nashorn over here, and that's pretty much why I got him. I got this pack. This was all part of the Kickstarter. This wasn't, I didn't pre-order these from Harvinger Studios. These were all rewards for backing the Kickstarter. I have more coming with Wave 3, but this is what I got for Wave 2. And then right there, we have the Warrior with Ball and Chain, or the Ball and Chain Warrior. I looked him up. It doesn't look like in the paintings he actually has a name, like the Norseman or something. It's just Ball and Chain Warrior. I'm very curious to get him out, take a look at him, and see how he stacks up next to the Icon Collectibles. So I think we're going to save this one for last. I think the first one we're going to take a look right here is Hashorn the Disinherited. And you saw that it has this real nice graphic up front right here. We have his name on the side, on the top, Savage Crucible on this side. On the back, we have a bit of a write-up, which I believe this is just for the Savage Crucible world. Old men whisper of cosmic machines, but any fool worth their steel knows this place is alive. Aye, it lives, it breathes, and it must consume. Its hunger burns through the very veil between spheres, pulling us here from the otherwhere. The otherwhere? Oh, that's a really cool way of saying it. Some are born to this world, but all are spilled like blood on the battlefield. The weak are lost to the wind. Strength and cunning are your inheritance. Your deeds will echo through the ages as you forge your own story. This is the Crucible. So, I believe Harvinger Studios is going for something like what Four Horsemen were looking to, or what Four Horsemen are doing with Mythic Legions, where they're just forging their own story, their own characters, how they fit in. So, like I said, the first one we're going to take a look at is Hashorn right here, and we'll also be looking at his accessory pack, and then we will look at the Ball and Chain Warrior last. So, without further ado, let's get this box open, and let's take a look at Harvinger Studios' Savage Crucible, Hashorn the Disinherited. Okay, here he is, Hashorn the Disinherited, out of the box, and putting the tape measure to him, we can see that, keep in mind, these are supposed to be 1/12 scale figures, and he is 7 inches to the top of his helmet and 8 inches to the top of his curled Loki horns. Okay, the first thing we have to talk about here is just the sculpt and the paint apps. This is a beautiful figure. The metallics, the paint applications, just the sculpt, the unique look of him. This is fantastic. Like, when I saw him when I backed the Kickstarter, one of the main reasons I picked him as one of my backer rewards is because I was getting very heavy, like, Warduke vibes from him. I thought he would be great as, like, a henchman for my NECA Warduke. Warduke may end up being a henchman for this guy. That's how much I think he just looks fantastic. Like, the turquoise here of the gems in the gold in his gauntlets and in his belt right here. You also have them up here in his shoulders. You can see, like, red. Don't know if that's supposed to be red stain like blood or if it's faded paint on his armor, but he has it up front here. And just look at the detail, like the crustacean of his armor right here. And then you sort of have like these Roman shoulder epaulets underneath the main armor right there. On the back, you have some great detail for like a back protector, a spine protector. You have the clips right here, which I believe these clips do come off and you could pop the armor off. At least it looks like they do. I'm not going to do that because traditionally I have a very hard problem getting things back together once I take it apart. We come down here to some beautiful golden shin bracers. Once again, you sort of have like those opal jewels right there in the armor. He is wearing sandals and you can see like the bare feet and the rings on his toes, the straps of the sandals. There's even like some really nice detail, like cracked leather of the sandals underneath right here, which I think is fantastic. This whole thing, and like even his scabbard, like they wasted no attention to detail right here. His scale mail for the scale mail skirting, it comes all the way, that comes around front and then gives way to this, which this isn't cloth, this is just a very soft piece of rubber, but just looking at it, like there's texture to it. It's not smooth. I don't know if you can see that texture through the camera, but there is texture and it gives it like a very like worn leather look. This is a fantastic figure. And that, like, even here in his helmet, like he has this crown of opals going around the helmet right here, and then just these deep sunk eyes. And there's even more helmets and head sculpts for him in that Conquest pack that we'll be taking a look at after him. Now, there's an interesting way that these shoulder pieces are attached, that at first I thought these were just pegged in and you could pop them out. But actually, if you look back here, let's see if I can get this on camera, it's actually hinged ball joints back here that, like, I don't know if you can pop it out. I didn't want to try because, like, I really don't want to do anything to break this guy. But it's hinged in there on a ball joint with that peg right there, which allows you to really move the shoulder joints with the articulation of the figure, which I think is fantastic. It gives it like a very dynamic look that no matter where you put his arm, you can move the shoulder pads to go along with it. And then just the main body, the black, the ebony black of the main body underneath just makes all of the paint apps, the golds, the silvers, even like these crimson reds right here, just makes everything pop, makes everything stand out. This is an insanely good figure. Visually, we'll get into articulation and everything in a moment, but right now we're just talking visuals. That right here, yes, these are real chains that are anchoring the scabbard to his big Horkin gold belt right here. This looks fantastic. This, like, I don't have any Mythic Legions yet, but I feel like this is something that, like, could go against Mythic Legion this, oh, let's take a look at the articulation. That the head will do a full 360. The articulation is very smooth on this guy. We got some real good rock side to side. He can look up fairly well. He can look down fairly well. The arms can do a full 360 spin because, like I said, this shoulder pad gets out of the way and this shoulder pad is actually anchored to the shoulder. So everything will move with the arm. There is a butterfly joint that is only slightly hindered by this shoulder armor when it comes forward, not so much when it goes back. The arm can come up all the way because everything gets out of the way. So you see how you can bring it up to 90, but all of this moves to get out of the way. It's fantastic. Now here's where the articulation gets a little wonky. That there is a bicep swivel right here, but it swivels on its own because there's a hinge and swivel at the elbow right here, that the elbow, you will, single hinged elbow will come up to just a little bit past 90. So there's a hinge and swivel right there. So when you turn the bicep, the rest of the arm doesn't really turn. You have to turn it to match. So I appreciate that it has all this articulation, but that is a little wonky, but you can get it taken care of, no problems. Now taking a look at the wrists, that the wrists pivot all the way around. These hinge up and down, but the other hands that we'll take a look at, they hinge in and out. All right, Hashorn, let's get your arms up out of the way. Now he has a ball joint here at the midriff, and he has a ball joint at the waist. That together, he can crank back fairly well. He can go forward fairly well. He has some real good side to side, and he can, of course, get the upper joint will turn that much. The lower joint, let's see if I can get that to move. Doesn't seem to want to move nearly as much. It looks like you use the lower ball joint mainly for front and back and side to side, that most of the turning is going to come from the top one, but I wouldn't suggest going like a full 360 or going too drastic with the turn, because it does feel like it's molded specifically to the shape of the lower part, that plastic starts to, you know, plastic on plastic violence. It will only go so far. The legs, I just tried to pull them down. I'm so used to my classified series, but the legs will come up to there it's about 90. They'll go back that far. They will come up to there. And this, even though it looks like it's getting in the way, this is a very soft rubber and the belt rides up. So it does work to get out of the way whenever you bring the leg up. Let's lift this so you can see there is a swivel joint here at the hip. You can see it right there, that it's hidden by this dressing right there. We have double jointed knees with some really decent travel, but also, there's like a lot of plastic right there. So there isn't like an ugly break to the knee. It does, after you look at that though, and you pull it down, it does look to be like a little spindly when you compare it to the upper thigh. That does look a little thin between the thigh and the calf right there. That may just be me. That may just be a nitpick. Is there a boot cut? No, there's no boot cut, but the ankle does pivot and the ankle does rock back. The ankle does rock forward fairly well. And there is a forward facing pin for some rocker right there. You can see right in here, there's another ball joint for the shoulder pads. So the upper shoulder pads are ball jointed into his back just below his neck. The lower shoulder pads are ball jointed into the shoulder itself. There is a lot going on here. Sometimes, and this is not a complaint, it is just an observation, sometimes there's so much that it kind of gets in your own way when you're trying to pose him and get that really good pose, that perfect pose going on. You'll get there eventually, and I'm sure once I've played around with him and get used to him a little bit more, it'll start to come easier. But just so you're aware, there is a lot going on with the articulation, with this floating bicep right here, with the that shoulder piece, the armor and the belt riding up a little whenever you're playing around with him. Like I said, I don't doubt that I will get the knack of it. I'll get used to it, but straight out of the box, first impressions, it's very busy and there's a lot going on right here. So busy, in fact, I found out I was wrong and there is a boot cut. I didn't realize until after I bent the knee that you do get a boot cut right there just below the knee joint. So yeah, there's one more point of articulation. So the knee will turn and the ankle will turn. They put a lot of articulation on this figure. So out of the box, you saw that he has this pair of gripping hands that hinge up and down. But something interesting that they did, that we have this other pair of gripping hands, but these hinge in and out. As far as I could tell, they're essentially exactly the same hands as the gripping hands that he has in the box. It's just that these go in and out instead of up and down. And then he comes with these open grasping hands. So while we were taking a look at the sculpt, the paint apps, and the articulation, you no doubt saw that scabbard that's hanging off the back of his belt. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I drew attention to it. So of course we have to have something to fill that scabbard. And what we have is this big, thick broadsword right here. And this looks awesome. First of all, let's take a look at the detail work done for the handle, the hilt, and the pommel. Tell me that doesn't look fantastic. That looks really good. Like, really good. I love the detail work that they put in the handle right here, just like wraps or, you know, just like metal work right there. It looks great. The pommel matching that, and then the detail work done in like sort of like this Roman gladius style crosspiece right here, but the blade is nothing like a gladius. It's a broadsword through and through, and I love the dicks and the dings and the marks on here. Like, Hashorn has seen some stuff, and so has his sword, and that looks really cool. The hands, they're not loose, but they are soft rubber, so they will stretch a little to get the weapon into his hand right here. And he has a real good grip on it. It suits him. I like it. It's very cool. And it fits into the scabbard. Now mine is a little bent. I should heat it up and straighten it, but it does fit into the scabbard. It has a nice tight fit, so it won't fall out. And that looks really, really good right there. Oh man, does that look cool. I am so glad I picked this one up. So something that Savage Crucible is doing, what Harvinger Studios is doing, is basically once a figure is made and they sell out, that's going to be it. They're not going to do like a second run of figures. So right now, actually, I looked on Big Bad and other locations, and I believe he is sold out. I will leave links to everything I can in the description below. I will try and find one. Maybe he is still available at Big Bad, and it's the Frazetta Warrior that's sold out. But I remember, I know the Frazetta is sold out. I know a bunch of them from Wave 2 are sold out. They're not up for sale on Harvinger's website yet. I don't know if they're going to. Their marketing kind of confuses me sometimes. But if I can find him, I'll leave a link to him in the description below. Now, something else that he comes with is this dagger right here. And look at the detail work on this scabbard, on this sheath right here. This looks awesome. The stitching, the leather right here, the leather wrap around it, and then you draw the dagger out. And the dagger, just like the broadsword, like, it's seen some stuff. It's very primitive. It's very like dark sword and sorcery, not so much high fantasy. The handle matches the broadsword right there. And I like how it just comes to like this chiseled tip right here. Like, it's not eloquent, it's brutal. It is 100% brutal. Now you'll notice that there is this tab right here. And the reason for that is, I believe the name of the game with Harvinger Studios is customization, because you can see there is a socket right here on the belt that you can plug this in. Now, you can also unplug these to take his scabbard off the belt, or you could move it from here to here. But I kind of like, almost every figure I have, I pose right-handed. I kind of dig him being a lefty, so I think I'm going to leave this over here. And then you can tab this in over here. Now, I did take this off camera. It is a pain to get this back in, because you can see the mushroom head on the peg right here is a little larger than the socket that's cut into the belt, and it makes it a little bit of a wrestling match to get it in there and get it to stick. You can see like the size difference right there. Maybe you can't, maybe it's too dark, but it takes a bit to get it to, hold on. Okay, so one of the issues is that this is very soft and very bendable right here. I'm trying to do it without the dagger in there because I don't want to bend or break the dagger. So I've been trying to like push it through with just the sheath, but it's very soft, it's very bendy, and the belt is also very soft. And I've been having a bit of a wrestling match trying to get this pushed in. Now, I would have done it and put some hot water on there and popped it in there if this was all that we had, but there are some belt accessories with that accessory pack that I think I'm going to want to put on there instead. So before I put this on, I want to take a look at some of the other options that we have for his belt. And then finally, we have just this black Ziploc bag right here that apparently you get mystery items with your figures. I don't hate that. That's actually kind of cool. There is a Ziploc on here. I haven't opened this yet. So let's pop this open and let's see what we get. Oh my goodness. Look at that. This Eldritch Blade translucent plastic. Oh my goodness, this looks great. And it even has like the dings in there. Like this is some jade weapon. Like, oh, my only regret is I don't have a sheath for it. But man, look at that thing. Let's put this in his hand. I don't know, is this a sculpt from like, this looks like something that might have come from the Lizards, the first wave. But look at that. Oh, does that look cool? Oh, that looks so cool. I really like that. I don't know if he's the one that's going to be wielding it. I have plenty of other figures that could use something like this, but man, does that look cool. Okay, up next we're going to crack open the Conquest pack, and you can pretty much see everything that's inside. Conquest pack up top, on the side, Harvinger Studios on the bottom, Savage Crucibles on the side, and then we have an image of just all of the accessories that are inside. Okay, so here's Nashorn standing with all of the kibble that comes in that weapons pack, and we have some really cool stuff that, like, one of the first things you're probably taking a look at is this big brutal beast of a club right here. This just spiked instrument of plane. You want to talk about blunt force trauma right here. And this has all of the design, all of the sculpt, all of the paint apps that the more sophisticated, that broadsword, I mean, weapon had. That I like the discoloring of the spikes right here, that it could be like just the color of the wood that was used, or this is just like stained with the blood of the fallen. We have some nice wrap on the handle. Come on, focus. We have some nice wrap on the handle right here, but then even like the pommel piece right here is a little discolored. Like maybe he used that to, you know, bash in a face or two. But I really like the detail and the paint apps on the wraps right there. Then, of course, we have this spear. This is a short spear. You'll see it when it's in his hand. I love the little, like, three-tonged point down here at the base. And then, of course, we have the proper spear tip up here. And, come on, focus. We have that same sort of, like, marred up look. Maybe this is supposed to be stone. Maybe this is supposed to be like obsidian stone or something, and that's why it has... Yeah, I think that is. I think this is supposed to be a stone spear, and then like... Yeah. Come on, focus in. There we go. I think this is supposed to be like, maybe this is like a little bit of metal for the point down here, but I think the main tip right here is supposed to be stone. You can see that like we have spiked collar at the top and bottom, and then the wooden shaft with some wraps around it as well. This is a short spear. You can see it only comes up to about his shoulders on him. And then we have this big bloodied shield right here, which is one of the main reasons I wanted to get this one. Not just the heads that we'll take a look at in a second, but I wanted to get Nashorn a shield. It has just your standard handle on the back, and there is some turn to it, or not some turn, but it does turn, so you can decide how you want the front facing to be. He can hold it to the side, he can hold it forward, just because of sort of like this pistol grip right here. But then also, this comes out, and we have this mushroomed headpiece right here that goes on. So I don't know if you'd want to pop it onto the side of his belt as some place for him to hold it, but maybe some of the other figures have like a bandolier where they have like anchor points across his back that you would be able to anchor it so that he was wearing it on the back. He does not have anything like that. The closest thing he would have would be as if I popped that out and he just wore it down here, but that wouldn't look right. He doesn't have any like anchor points here in the armor, but if he did have like a bandolier or a sash, he could wear it off the shoulder there. So that is really cool that they give you that option. Whoop. It's stuck a little. Give me a second. Okay, so yeah, he will be holding it. As a matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him with this shield and this spear. So as a matter of, let's just set that up right now. That, like I said, he's going to be a lefty, so the shield will go in his right hand. And this would be why you would want to use the in and out hands as well for whenever he's holding the shield. And then he has his short spear in this hand. We can get that in there. And there you go. We're getting him decked out, ready for battle. He has a sword on back, short spear, shield right here. And then he still has all of this other kibble down here, like this big horking blade. This just looks brutal. This is awesome. There's more than one figure I can think of that I would want to give something like that. You also have like these insanely massive brass knucks right here that he can be wielding. Now, belt accessories, we'll get to the heads and the hands in a moment, but belt accessories, you can see he has this horn, or the pack comes with this horn. Now the horn, it's not hollowed out, it's not blacked out, I wish it was. It has some real nice detail on the strap that's hanging from this clasp, that you could put that on his belt like he has, you know, the Horn of Gondor hanging off of his belt. But I also like this, where it's a rope with a grappling hook, because I know this is supposed to be a grappling hook right there, but you can also use that as a hanger for some of these other weapons and accessories that don't have sheaths or anything like that. So not only do you get like a belt accessory, but you get additional place to hang something. And then finally, he comes with this piece, or the accessory pack came with this piece right here, which when I first saw this as part of the Kickstarter, I thought this was fantastic. That this is supposed to be a place where you can put like your additional heads. And this one doesn't want to fit right for some reason. But you could have it like that he's just carrying the head around like a trophy. So you could also have this hanging off this right here, and then have the head hanging off of it like it's his trophy and he's carrying it around. And that's really cool. Now this is one of the heads that the Conquest pack comes with. I don't believe this is supposed to go with Nashorn right here, mainly because out of all of the heads that we have, this socket is too small. You saw that it didn't fit on the head carrier right here. It also doesn't fit on the neck peg, on the neck joint for Nashorn very well. It sits up a little too high. I think that needs to be hollowed out a little bit more, just so that it fits on there. The sculpt on it, the detail on it is fantastic, sort of like this orc or maybe like almost werewolf type headpiece right here. This looks really great. If there was a little bit more black to it, like maybe if like the ears were black and like you got some black on the nose, but like maybe if there was like black around the lips and like on the Cupid's bow down here, like where you can see skin, if it was more black, that would look really cool going with the black skin of Nashorn right here. But I don't think this is meant for him. What is meant for him are these two headpieces, these two gnarly looking helmets. This actually looks really cool. I might actually like this one better than the one that comes with him, but this just looks hideous and god-awful as well. We also have a spare set of helmet accessories, because not only can you swap the heads, but the horns, they're a little tight in there. The side pieces come out as well, so that you can swap those and you can just put new accessories on, and you can customize the helmets as well, which I love that. I think that is awesome. Like, I really like having options, and this just makes, like, this is even more options. Like I said at the beginning, I really think like customization is, you know, the rule of the land with these ones. So if you pop that off and then you pop this one on, that one, hold on. Okay, so that one is a little bit more muted, but it matches the armor, and with the golden braces here around the horns, actually, that actually looks really cool. I might like this one better than the one that he comes with. The color match right there, it doesn't stand out as much. Like, it doesn't, like, I don't know, like, this just looks more natural with the rest of the figure. But then we also have this guy right here. Now, this one looks like he should just have a scythe. This one goes very well with it as well. I'm not a big fan of these. These are just a little too much, I think. I also think that these ones are going to be a little too much. But talking about customization, I wonder how this head would look with these horns. Okay, that actually looks really cool too. I still think this is going to be my favorite, but this head sculpt, this helmet with these horns, that's definitely running a very close second. And that's the thing, like all of these, like this isn't, I don't believe this is his head. I really feel like this is just another helmet. So we don't know what he actually looks like underneath that. So let's set him aside for now. I've shown you pretty much all of the kibble that he comes with, but there is, oh, stand up. There is an extra set of hands that he comes with. There's two extra sets of hands that he comes with, actually. Let's put all of this back. That he comes with a pair of clenched fists right here. Whoops. He couldn't handle it. He comes with a pair of clenched fists right here. Really nothing, nothing unusual, nothing new. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't come with those out of the packaging and then maybe have the grip hands as part of this. But then he also has these with, you know, hey, I'm number one. So there's those as well. Okay, despite how cool that skeleton head was, I do think this is going to be my main helmet for him. Now, just like with Nashorn, with the accessory pack, the Conquest pack, we do get a mystery weapon right here. So let's open up this bag. Honestly, it feels like it might just be another scimitar, a larger version of his scimitar, of the scimitar that came with the first one. Let's get this open and take a look. Yep. Oh, that is cool. That is so cool. We have like, what is that, a serpent head? We do. We have a serpent head right here that forms into like this curved handle, and then the tail comes into this blue translucent blade. I'm pretty sure this was part of Wave 1. I'm pretty sure this mold, this sculpt, was part of the Lizard Man tooling from Wave 1. But given this translucent blade, that just looks awesome. Oh, I gotta find somebody to hand this off to. Like, it doesn't fit the aesthetic that I'm designing for him, but Oh, there's definitely some people that I'm going to be able to use that for. That just looks too cool not to. And finally, we're going to take a look at Frazetta's Warrior with Ball and Chain, and you can see that the front of the box is the painting that this figure is based off of. On back, we have just a little bit of a write-up. Our homeland is beyond comprehension, young one. We very well may be the center of all things, the origin point for everything that is, was, or will be, the crucible in which the universe forge all other worlds. A very special thank you to Lori and Frank Frazetta Jr. of the Frazetta Art Museum. And it just says Savage Crucible on the side, Warrior with Ball and Chain over here. We have another Frazetta symbol, not the same one that the Frazetta Girls uses. And then just like Nashorn, we have a window box where you can see the figure, everything that we're getting inside. Don't know if he's going to have, oh, it does look like he has a mystery item down there as well. And then born with the spirits of rage and conquest in his blood, the warrior prefers to meet challenges head-on and without hesitation. Armed with a mystic ball and chain forged from adamant cut from abyssal bedrock, little can stand in his way. Pulverized foes litter the path the warrior treads. This is going to be awesome. Let's get him open. Okay, here he is, the warrior, out of the box, and putting the tape measure to him, we can see that he is roughly 7 inches at the top of his head, but about 7 3/8 to the top of this spiky bit. Okay, so with our ball and chain warrior right here, we're not really going to go over the sculpt or the articulation to any great detail, because quite honestly, there is pretty much total reuse with this figure, with the exception of the head sculpt, the trunks, and the boots. Everything you see here is the same as Nashorn. Just the paint apps are different, and like I said, the trunks are different, and he has some different accessories. But other than that, this buck is completely the same as Nashorn. However, without all of the armor on it, it does give us a better chance to check out the articulation and see what was going on underneath all of Nashorn's armor. And the first thing you may be wondering are, Mac, what are these things right here? Well, these can pop off, so don't worry about that. But what these are, they plug into the ball sockets, the ball joints on his back. And these little hooks right here will actually be used to help hold his cape on, which we will take a look at in a moment once we get to his accessories. But first I want to show you that if you pop his head off right here, well, his necklace comes off as well. But you can get underneath here and you can pop these little tabs off so that he'll have 4 holes in the back, as you can see. If you remember with Nashorn, he had those 2 shoulder pieces that actually plugged into the back of his shoulders, and these were the upper shoulder armor. So he'll have the 4 holes on his back. So if you're not going to have the cape on him, those will be visible from behind, but it is giving him a much cleaner look up front, which is really what you want when you're posing him on the shelf. So if you're not using the cape, even though you'll be able to see these from behind, you're not going to be looking at him from behind more than likely. So you do have this much cleaner, more well-defined look forward. So let's also look at his face sculpt right here. That I think the face sculpt is fantastic, especially those eyes, those intense eyes staring out at you from underneath the brim of the helmet. I wish the helmet came off, I really do, but it is molded on there. It is one piece with the face sculpt, so this headpiece is all one piece. It feels like this was a separate piece and it was glued on there, but they did do a fantastic job, not only with the face portrait, but with the detail and the pitting and the aging of the helmet right here. Just like with Nashorn's weapons, I think this looks fantastic. Like, you can even see a little bit of pitting and weathering and detail on the back, where normally it would just be like this, just like this bare sheen. But they really went the extra mile and gave it that extra dedication to detail, especially with the coloring right here. How the horns go from like brown up to a darker brown, almost black at the tips, just like real animal horns tend to do. That looks fantastic as well. The necklace you saw does come off. It is a loose piece, but this is a nice Nice little representation of the painting as well. So while we have him and we have no armor back here, let's take a look at how those butterfly joints work, because they don't work like normal butterfly joints, that it feels like the hinge point is right here at the front of the chest, and they just sort of fold out and pitch forward. So you see he can get like that big flex pose right there, but it also has more plastic hidden underneath that just kind of pivots. And it continues the sculpt right here. Instead of being a smooth plastic piece, it continues the sculpt of his back, which is a really nice detail. I appreciate that. I like that. I think that is fantastic. Just like with Nashorn, he has the hinge and swivel elbows, and he does have that bicep piece that turns, but it turns independently from the rest of the arm. So that gives us a better look at that as well. And then also, whoop, come on. Turn your arm. You can see what's going on with his abs and with his torso right here. That just like Nashorn, he doesn't really have that great of twist at the torso, although he does have a ball joint that lets him go forward and back and side to side. The majority of the twist is going to come from the upper torso piece, but because it's the same buck as Nashorn, like I said, don't try to get too extreme with it, because it is two irregular pieces, like they're molded to fit together like this, that you do start to run into a little bit of resistance, and you could stretch, maybe even break your torso piece right here. I wish the trunks came down a little lower or had some kind of fringe right here, because as you can see, this part right here, this hidden joint isn't so hidden, whereas like Nashorn had the armor bits that came down and covered all of this. This is widely exposed, and you can see the ball joints up underneath his loincloth right there. I wish this came down a little further. I wish they had some fringe, because it's almost hidden. Like they almost got there, but that is still exposed and kind of ugly, to be completely honest. He does have new boots right here, which I think have some really nice detail. I like the golden studs right there. Whoop. I like the golden studs right there around the leather wraps. I like that the leather and the fur are two different colors right here. I think that is a fantastic touch, that you have like this brown leather wrap going around like this gray fur, and then the brown leather moccasins down here. Something else that's different about our ball and chain warrior is that if you look at, let's get your arms up out of the way here. If you look at his loincloth and his belt, he has no anchor points around the belt, like how Nashorn, and from what I understand, a lot of the Savage Crucible figures had those anchor points that you could hang things off their belt or off their loincloth. He doesn't have any of that. Even these chain pieces right here are anchored pieces, so you can't pop it out and swap it. By the way, just take a look at the scabbard. The amount of detail they give to something like a scabbard on both of these figures is phenomenal. A lot of scabbards, a lot of companies, when they make a scabbard, it's just like a plain brown piece. They actually gave some real nice detail to both of them. But like I was saying, where it hooks on with the chains, you can't change that. You cannot alter like what he's carrying. You can't change his gear. He just has a scabbard for his sword and his sheath for his dagger. And I'm wondering if that has something to do with the contract with the Frazetta Museum, that you can't really do anything to change him from his Frank Frazetta appearance. And like I said, I can't help but wonder if that isn't something that has to do with the contract. Now, let's set him down and let's bring these pieces back in. And we're going to pop these back onto his shoulder, because like I said, these do play into how the cape fits on him. And I haven't actually put the cape on him yet, so I don't know how easily this is going to go. But you can see these pop in very easily. They pop in just as easily as they came out. So we're going to put the necklace back on him. We're going to pop his head back on him. And then we're going to bring in his cloth goods cape right here that has sort of like this hide interior with this fur exterior. I think this is really cool. there is a wire in it as well, so that once we get it on him, it's just running down the sides right here. There's no wires like mid cape, and obviously with this frayed edges, there's no wire in the bottom, but we do have wires down the sides. And if you take a real close look, because it took me a while to figure out how this is going to attach, but if you take a real close look, there are some elastic bands hidden up here underneath the fur. And those bands are supposed to hook onto these tabs right here. I haven't done this yet. It's probably going to take me a while. Give me a minute and I'll let you know how difficult this is. Okay, so what I actually ended up doing was taking them off again and slipping them through individually. So now we're going to pop them back on and see how this looks once we get them back on our warrior buck right here. So this is a very interesting way of attaching the cape. I don't know how this is going to go. So let's take the necklace. I should put the necklace on first. Let's take that off. And now we'll put the cape back on. And then the head goes on. And there we go. Now the wire should let us get it down a little bit. Conform it to the shoulders. Okay, there we go. It's not horrible. It's a very different way of attaching a cape like this. I don't know if it's my favorite way of doing this, but if we can get that wire in there, thankfully the wire will let it bend and we can sort of get a nice drape going on right there. So there we go. Like, it's not terrible. I don't know if it's not the best though, especially because like with that scabbard underneath there, you can see that it wants to sort of like flare back a little bit. And I know the idea is that you can get these in like windswept poses, which we'll take a look at when we're doing photos, but I don't know. It's not the best way to go about it. But there we go. It does have a nice heavy look to it, a nice fur feel to it. So we're going to stack that right there, because speaking of the scabbard, of course he comes with his own weapons, and the first thing we're going to take a look at is this curved broadsword of his. That, just like Hashorn's sword, we have some real nice dinging to it, some real nice aging, some weathering, some chips where it's connected with shields, and other swords right there, some pieces taken out of it. Like, it looks dangerous, it looks deadly, but it also looks used and worn. And we have a really nice single piece hilt right here. No cross piece, just like this is pretty much all one piece right here. It's a little bit of it's an oval. You can see that right there, but there's no real cross piece to it. The pommel looks really good as well. Once again, the sword, like this all looks very well designed together. Like, this is a believable weapon. I think that is so cool. And then he has a scabbard hanging off the back that this will just fit right in there like so. So there's one weapon. Now his other weaponry, let's see, what do we got going on over here? We have his dagger, which, just like the spear from the accessory pack, the blade of the dagger looks like it's not so much steel as sort of like chiseled stone. It has an irregular quality to it. It has like this hammered out quality to it, which I really like. The handle, the hilt, the pommel, all of this looks fantastic. I love the wraps around the handle as well. This fits into the sheath on his leg right here. So that fits there. Okay. Now, the ball and chain warrior does come with the same hand options that Hashorn has. He has both of these grip hands that pivot up and down. He has grip hands that pivot in and out. And he has sort of like his open clutch hands. And I bring that up because I think we're going to try one of these open hands with his next accessory. And I didn't show you how these come off on Hashorn, but on this guy, you can see that they pop off very easily. They have a nice solid grip. They have sort of like that mushroom tip right there that fits into the whoops, into the wrist of the figure very well. And you can see his bracelet comes off. But where's it at? We're going to give him this one. Pop that on, because I feel like that's going to be the best one to hold his shield right here. His very scarred, very battle-damaged shield. This looks freaking awesome. And I love the crossed leather pieces underneath, how it has the handle. It's not like the shield that came with the accessory pack where it just sort of has like that pistol grip right there. This actually has like a true, like a true, how a shield would really fit onto your arm. And so those go through. And then, let's angle that. This comes through. And then we have to try and get the fingers through there. Maybe this isn't the best because it keeps getting caught. Okay, so what I've done is I've preset the hand on the handle, and this is the gripping hand that hinges in and out, not up and down. This one goes in and out, so this will probably just live here. This will probably just always be here. And I have the tab, if you can see that, like the wrist tab, on a bit of an angle, because what we're going to do is, and I have his arm up so that the bracelet doesn't fall off, is we're just going to fit it on him with the hand already on gripping the shield. Okay, and there you go. It takes a little bit of finagling because the peg is at an angle, and the cape and even the scabbard does here tend to get in the way whenever you're trying to find a good place to like support it and push the hand down on there. But like I said, this hand will probably just live here on the shield even when he's not wielding the shield, just because like that's going to be the best hand for that. And there you go. He's carrying it. Now the shield is also, it's not completely soft, but it is a bendable rubber. So unlike a lot of shields that like, it's basically a hard disc and you feel like if you move it or finagle it the wrong way, you might snap it. This, I never had that worry. I was more worried, honestly, about breaking the peg on the wrist than I was the shield, or even tearing these rubber straps right here that look amazingly like leather. Like the detail work that they do on these figures is fantastic. But there we go. He's holding his shield now, which means there's really only one accessory left that we have to take a look at. And that is, of course, his signature ball and chain right here. This looks great. Look at the spike work on the mace head. Look at the blood on the mace head as well. Like, I think that is a really nice touch. Just like with that shield that came with the Conqueror pack, this, he's seen some stuff with this. This has seen some battles. This has seen some meat. This, this is a really well done spiked ball head. Now, these are, they're bendy, but they're still like sharp. So I don't feel like the pegs are going to break. But if you stepped on this in your bare feet, you'd know it. It would be like stepping on Lego. We do have a real metal chain holding the ball to the handle. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, this is cool that they use real chain, but ball and chain, flails, things like that are always a little iffy on how companies can do it. It's one of those things that, like, because it's like this, it's always just going to be hanging limp and dead in his hand, even if you're going for action poses. I almost wish this was maybe plastic with a wire of somehow a wire weaved through the links so that you could get it and bend it into like action poses. As a matter of fact, that would be the only thing I could think of that I would change as far as the weapon goes. Maybe I will try and find like a thin silver wire to fit through here, loop it at this end, loop it at the mace end, and then be able to bend this into action poses. The handle looks fantastic, as always. They do some really good work with the weapons. I love the metal connector piece right here at the top of the shaft, and also we have the handle down here on this wooden shaft. Oh, by the way, in case you were wondering, you saw that the bracelet came off. The bracer does come off of his right hand as well, and it is molded into a specific shape so that you always put it back on the right way. And then we just take his flail, his ball and chain, and there, oh, that popped off. Probably when I was screwing around with getting the shield on there. Where did it, there we go. We'll pop that back in there. And there we go. There is our Frazetta ball and chain warrior. And he looks good. I'm not going to lie. I really like him. I thought this was going to be the one that I was going to like the most. But so far, I think Nashorn is actually the better of the two. I do like him. I'm glad I have him, and I can't wait for Wave 3 to show up. And if there are any more of Wave 2 that I can get my hands on, I'm going to try and do that. Like I said, I think a lot of it is sold out, but I'll leave links in the description below. But he looks really good. And of course, we have our black bag special weapon going on right here. And not being very familiar with Wave 1, this is a big one. It doesn't feel like a scimitar. I don't know what it is. So let's just open this up and take a look at what we've got. Come on, open, open. And we have, oh, that looks cool. Oh man, I love how it goes from purple to red. This is definitely like a two-hander, I'm guessing. Oh, that's awesome. That is really awesome. Okay, starting off size comparisons here. Of course, we have to start them with my beloved Icon Collectibles. We have them next to the Frazetta Girls Icon Collectibles Norseman and the Frazetta Girls Icon Collectibles Fire and Ice Tigra. And you can see that these lines will blend in very well together. Size-wise, proportion-wise, scale-wise. One thing that I didn't notice was how plastic, like you have that plastic shine on the ball and chain warrior over here. I didn't really notice that until you put him next to the Norseman that has a much more duller flesh-toned look than the warrior right here. You have it with Nashorn as well, but because he has this ebony black skin, it doesn't really like stand out or look that off, because you just get the impression that this skin, this obsidian skin right here would have a bit of a shine to it. Now for a more 1/6 scale look, here they are beside Hasbro Marvel Legends Blade and Boss Fight Studio Red Sonja. Now I want you to remember that even though Sonja looks short compared to these two, if you go back and you take a look at Tigra sizing up with these guys from Icon Collectibles, and she seems to fit in real well with this line, keep in mind that Sonja is actually taller than Tigra. Here they are beside McFarlane Toys Spawn Series Medieval Spawn and Eridan Brioc Glass from The Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt. Here they are beside Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse Masters of the Universe movie Skeletor and Evil Lyn. Here they are beside NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons Warduke and Grimsword. And Warduke is a little taller than Nashorn, and Grimsword is just monstrous no matter who you put him next to. But I do feel like you could get these guys all in a lineup, especially him with these two. Like, and just, it's a given that Warduke is going to be taller. It's a given that Grimsword is going to be taller. But I feel like these guys would all fit in together. And finally, here they are beside Airborne and me from the G.I. Joe Steel Corps. So with this being my first exposure to the Savage Crucible, I really like this line. Surprisingly, I like Nashorn better than I like the Frazetta Warrior with Ball and Chain. I really thought the Ball and Chain Warrior was going to be my standout piece from the things that I got from the Kickstarter, but Nashorn, especially with the options you have with that accessory pack, with that Conquest pack, Nashorn really is like my standout figure between these two. It's making me very excited for what is coming next. That I do have a figure from Wave 3 that is very much like a Cthulhu Priest looking type figure, but other than that, I also have Elric of Melniboné coming, and I have Harvinger Studios version of Death Dealer coming as well. We know from the timeline on Harvinger Studios website that Elric is next, and then Death Dealer, and then Wave 3. I have some minor nitpicks here and there, but honestly, it's more of personal preference than it is a commentary on the quality of the figure. I feel like they're both quality figures. I do wish that there was a different way that the cloak on the Warrior fit. I do apologize if in the second half of the video my voice sounds a little off. I recorded the first half on Monday afternoon, Monday night, which is when I usually do it. However, there was a storm on Monday night and I lost power, so I didn't get to finish recording and I didn't get to upload on Monday night. So when I'm recording this, it's actually very early Tuesday morning. So I just woke up, my voice is a little deep, a little hoarse, a little craggy, and I may get this uploaded late. I apologize for that, but I think once you see the end result of these two figures, you're not going to be upset. As I've said before, I don't know what's still in stock and what is sold out. There's nothing really time of recording up for sale on Harvinger Studios website. I'll keep you up to date on that. I will find links for available merchandise, and I will leave those in the description below. Thank you for hanging around until the end. While you're here, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. The subscriber count has been climbing quickly lately, and it would be really cool if we could hit 2,000 by the end of the year. If you'd like to support the show, please consider joining the Steel Corps by becoming a channel member or a subscriber through my Ko-fi page. Links in the description below. Members get perks like access to a members-only Discord, access to members-only monthly videos, and eventually members-only live streams. All of this for $1 a month. As always, play well, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.